Christian Wilson owns his own small business called Swimworks, and he is the co-founder of Aquasensory. He is a business coach, writer, and a motivational speaker. With over 15 years as an endurance athlete and triathlon coach, Christian has developed and refined a range of mind-setting principles and techniques that are as effective in business as they are on the track. Christian's mission is to help everyone find their true purpose and potential whilst building their mindset to achieve and sustain it. Calibrate is the first in a series of books to help unlock and upgrade your full potential. Welcome, Christian. I am so excited to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Tori. That's great. God, that sounds like I've been busy, doesn't it?
It does. So, Christian, why did you write a book?
So over the years, whenever I've done coaching and presentations, I've often been asked about the sort of mindsetting aspect, which is really quite crucial in business and in sport. And yeah, it was just trying to put something together in a single place rather than having it in just different presentation documents. So it's always been sort of something there that I've been working on. But like with everyone, life is very busy. So I started writing it in January, and then with what's happened in the world with the lockdown, it sort of gave me the perfect opportunity to hide myself away in the office and really document it down. So it's been a really good time. And also I think the time has sort of given me the opportunity to sort of test those principles as well, the sort of mind-setting principles, because you actually have got a real life sort of crisis sort of going on around you. So it really gave me a sort of test base for it as well. So all that information hopefully will help others now. And I think that's what's really great about it, that it's out now at a time when we're sort of booting back up again throughout the world. It should give people a bit of a boost and a bit of a lift on the sort of mindset inside. So yeah,
sure.
really
So that is so valuable that you've taken everything and really put it in one place. I think that is awesome, and definitely a positive that has come out of COVID.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, looking at things, I mean, one of the chapters in the book, which is about overcoming sort of obstacles. And I think, we're very hardwired to, whenever we hit an obstacle, to have a very negative sort of process on that. So it's about how to sort of reshape that into a positive. So
yeah, no, that is so true. And I love how you say that you've actually had time to test it out on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, my children, they're always saying it back to me because I've always taught them the principles of it. And my son the other day, he just said that, I said, have you read the book? And he said, well, it's something everything in there is what you've taught me. So he said, it's just my life in a book, which is really nice. So yeah, they sort of teach it back to me as well. So it's great, really.
That's awesome.
And that's the nice thing about the book as well. It's for any age group. So I didn't want it to just be for a sort of an older age group, like a business group. I think, young children, teenagers, they can really get a lot out of that. And especially now when I think for them, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. It really gives them a sort of a steer and a focus for the rest of their life. So, yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So the book is called Calibrate. What is Calibrate about?
Yeah, so Calibrate is really about how how our minds are set from a very, very early age. I mean, when we're children, we're taught things by others, and it's very much like, I use the term that we're like an electrical device that's been set up without an instruction manual. So we're very much set on our defaults. We're not necessarily playing to our sort of key characteristics or skills. So Calibrate is about sort of stripping those layers back so that you can really find the true sort of essence of your own way of thinking, your own sort of view on the world, rather than the sort of way in which you've been shaped to think and to feel about things. Because I think a lot of the time people do get self-help, but it's very much bolted onto a sort of existing way of thinking. And that's why often sort of motivation falls apart, because we're sort of motivating ourselves, but the underlying reason for doing something isn't always that clear. So Calibrate's about sort of stripping away all those sort of layers, finding what your true purpose is in life, and then having the sort of skills then to bolt back on, to sort of recalibrate yourself, to have a stronger mindset and be more resilient. So yeah, it's like an instruction manual for a sort of a reboot of your mindset.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, really something just simple like that, you know.
Now, I also love the chapter on positivity. What would you say is the best way to stay positive in today's uncertain climate?
Yeah, I think it's always starting the day off positive. That's what I always say to people. And I often get that sort of pushback and say, well, you can't always wake up feeling, 100%, and which is true. But I think to start the day off, I would say on a positive 10. So in the book, I talk about positivity tokens. So if you imagine you have sort of 10 positivity tokens in your pocket at the start of the day, and you just got to try and hold on to those. So whatever happens in your day, rather than just give them up too easily, which we often do, we get irritated by a phone call or an email that comes through or a difficult conversation. It's about really trying to hold on to that positivity that you start the day with. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, you end up feeling very negative, and that can have an effect on your confidence, self-esteem, energy levels. And then it can affect things like your immune system and so on. So it does have a very negative effect. But I think we often give away our sort of positivity too quickly, too easily. So I always say start the day off with a positive 10 and then see how many of those coins you can hold on to throughout the day. And then just reward yourself at the end of the day if you have managed to hold on to that sort of level of positivity. But always start the day off that way. I think if you start the day off with 2 coins in your pocket, it's never going to get any better, is it? You really are setting yourself up for a fall before you even start. And I think a lot of people do that. So yeah.
I love that analogy. And is there a certain mantra that you say when you wake up?
Well, I try and have in the morning just a routine. So it's like a routine that's just for me. And I talk about that in the book as well, that to have a sort of ritual in the morning. So it's sort of you have time for yourself, because I think often what happens is that we get sidetracked instantly and we go on to like an autopilot setting. So we're just not aware that we're feeling anything in particular. We're already sort of switched off to how we're feeling. So, whether it's going for a walk in the morning, doing some exercise, reading a book in the morning, whatever it is, maybe a bit of morning meditation, just so that you can sort of tune into how you feel, and then you can sort of take control of those feelings. I think that's the real key, just sort of making sure that you're present early enough in the day that you can then sort of calibrate yourself for the rest of the day. Most people get out of bed and they're late, aren't they, for work, and it's, before they know it, they're sort of, halfway through the day and they're stressed. So yeah.
Yes, and I can totally relate to that. It's very similar to waking up in the morning and then just grabbing your phone, and the first thing you're doing is catching up on your messages and things like that. And I definitely think that is not the ideal way to start one's day.
That's right. Yeah. And I think that's how society is, isn't it? It's with the news now and everything. Everything is very sort of designed to switch us off rather than to make us present. We feel that we're present when we're looking at the phone or we're watching the news, but often we're just on an autopilot setting. And the real key to sort of releasing or sort of finding a better version of yourself is to be present, because if you're not, you haven't even got a fighting chance, really. You start the day like that, and then anything that comes your way, you're just going to absorb it rather than sort of stay focused and stay positive. So yeah, start the day off with morning rituals. That's what I always do. So
I love that. And also to quiet that inner voice.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that, or keep it positive. Keep that inner voice really positive.
Yeah, because I like children are naturally positive. It's as we get older, isn't it, that all those sort of negativity traits come in. I think our natural default feeling is to feel very sort of calm and centered. So it's just finding that, and it is there. You just need to take that time out when you're busy to do that. So I still, even now, even if I have a really busy day, I'll still make sure I sort of meditate in the evening, go for a run, go for a cycle, just to sort of take that time out for myself. Because then I'm calm, and when you're calm, you're much more productive with your time. So it's not time wasted. It really is important to be more productive.
Well, there's a great chapter on productivity. Can you explain your stack principle to us?
Yeah, I mean, I got to a stage where I was working a bit like you, Tori, probably 80 hours a week. And it just gets more and more. And you think by actually completing work, then you've sort of put that work behind you, but work just generates work. So you just find that the more busy you are, the more busy you become, and so on and so forth. And it just got ridiculous. And at one stage I just thought, although I can't get someone else to do this work, there must be an easier way of managing my workflow. There must be. It can't be this difficult. So the idea of stacks is that you literally departmentalize your work. So for example, if I'm going to make phone calls, I will literally just make phone calls for what I call a stack, which is literally a block of time. So it might just be an hour, and I'll set aside that hour just for phone calls. And then I'll move on to emails, and I'll literally spend a block of time just doing emails. Because what happens is, if you're answering the phone whilst you're trying to do an email, you get sidetracked from the email. The email takes twice as long because you can't remember the thread of it. Then you're picking up the phone again. So all of those distractions and sidetracks, they actually take up more time than the work itself. So incredibly, I went from sort of 60 hours a week down to about 20 hours a week, and was more productive just by sort of stacking my time out. And at first people were quite confused with this. They're like, well, I'd like a meeting on Friday. And I'd say, well, yeah, but I'm only doing meetings on a Tuesday, and this is the time slot. People were getting very confused by this. But now everyone knows how I work. And to be honest, what's happened is that everyone that I work with now works in the same way. So they sort of manage their time in the same way. So it works actually really, really well. So yeah, the stack principle, and it's very simple. You can literally just get a piece of paper and just write down the title of that particular stack. It could be accounts, it could be training, whatever you want it to be, but just set aside that time limit. Even put a timer on your phone, and then once you finished it, you move on to the next one, and so on.
Well, I just find that this is really an invaluable tip. And since I have started doing that, I've just noticed how more productive my time is. So when I'm starting work in the morning, I set my timer for 30 minutes. And that is when I really check my emails, and I give myself that amount of time to do that in. And as you say, it's so much more productive, because instead of getting sidetracked with all the other things that I need to be doing, all the phone calls coming in, I just make sure that half an hour is answering those emails, sorting out my email inbox, and it has made a world of difference.
Yeah, it does. And I also do my sort of free time as well, which sounds strange to put your stack into a free time, but if you don't, then you don't give yourself that time. So I will have a training block in there that I'll make sure that every day I'll give myself an hour to do exercise or whatever, so that I commit to it. Because if you don't, then 2 days a week can go past and you haven't done that. So it is really useful. And like I say, because it's so straightforward to do, isn't it? It's very easy to implement. So yeah, I do like that principle. So
no, exactly, and that is something that is difficult to do, is self-discipline or being accountable. But when you can actually find that it's actually making your life easier, simplifying, and you're actually being more productive, and then you have more time and you're really getting rewarded for your actions, then it's so much easier to think, okay, well, now that I've started doing, like I've just started with just my emails in the morning. Well, then you can implement the same principle throughout the rest of your day. And those 24 hours seem to stretch so much more.
Yeah. And then the principle as well of looking at like hacks within those stacks. So for example, you probably do the same. I set up shortcuts on my computer. So anything I can think of that will just shorten the processing time, auto replies and things like that. So when I am doing a stack, I'm efficient at doing it as well, because you can actually then focus on what you're actually doing. Same with invoicing. I set it up so I've got sort of mandates already set up. So it is like a quick fire way of doing it. So you start to get quite sort of tactical with it, which is great. Because I think when you're just trying to firefight the paper on your desk, you haven't got time for any sort of, planning, have you? It's just like, I've got to get it done. But it's the same as well if you're teaching or if I'm coaching as well. It's like managing that time as well effectively. So you can put it to any real principle at all. So yeah, we'll talk about stacks in the book, and also habit blocks as well. So we do like these bricks. So you sort of building habits on top of positive habits. So there's loads of like hacks within the book like that. So yeah, hopefully people will find them really useful. And yeah.
No, I'm sure. And I love how you've made it exactly like actionable, achievable, and knowing that just when you implement one thing, how you're going to see the difference, and it's going to really change your life, just implementing these little things. And I think that's amazing. So what would you say is the key to really upgrading your mindset and thinking?
I mean, the key, as I mentioned before, is to just staying focused and staying present. I like to think of, I haven't used this principle in the book or talked about it in the book so much, but I always think about it as altitude. Like, so if you're in a plane and you're flying above clouds, it's very calm and there's no turbulence. So it's about staying focused so that you stay sort of high above all the sort of chaos beneath you. And whenever things start to get very chaotic, I tend to just think about it as if like a plane. I need to just lift myself up again above the clouds. So I just think about positive things when I feel like I'm being sort of dropped back down into the turbulence of the clouds. So I have this sort of visualization throughout the day, where am I in terms of my altitude? Am I staying nice and high, nice and focused and present, moving quickly through the sky? That kind of feeling. And I think if you kind of can always have that sort of mindset, then because we get hijacked all the time. It can be a phone call. You can feel as positive as you like, and then there's a phone call and you're disgruntled, whoever, or you forgot to do something and you instantly hacked, or you instantly sort of like, set into a sort of negative mindset. So yeah, just thinking about, right, okay, I've got to get myself back up into that high sort of frame again.
So that is so true. You can be having the best day and it just can take a phone call and you feel like your whole day is ruined, or you've been disrailed, or as you say, hijacked. And it really can like set you off, and you'd be like, it can just like sap all your energy and just totally drain you. So that is.
And I think we also feel as well when that does happen, that we're finished, that's it for the day. We tried to be positive, but now we're not, so the day's ruined, sort of thing. So it's sort of giving yourself permission to say, no, that's not how it is. I just need to lift myself back up again, and be present and understand that that's all that's happened, and just get back up to that cruising altitude of positivity again, and just continue. You're always going to get bumps and bit of turbulence along the way, and that's fine, that's life. So it's sort of forgiving yourself for feeling that way, and just keeping yourself positive. So I know it sounds easy, but once you get into that habit, it does become a habit to stay positive. And if you feel like you're being sort of pulled into a negative mindset, as long as you catch yourself feeling that, then it's a challenge. You sort of challenge yourself. No, I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to stay high in my sort of altitude on this one. I'm not gonna drop into that turbulence. It starts to become a habit, and yeah. So
I
there's
think
plenty of
it is,
principles.
as you say, it's about catching yourself and being able to recognize, to be like, whoa, hey, I just need to step back and be present again, and
Yeah,
pull myself back on track.
yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's what Calibrate's all about, in essence, is it's giving so many principles that actually can help people actually tune into that, so they can understand when they're sort of not feeling how they should be feeling, like their default setting of that positivity, because we are sort of like, it sneaks up on us without us realizing, and the book sort of goes through different sort of principles that really can sort of capture that before it's too late, and help us keep on that straight and narrow. So for any industry, for any business, or for any background, it's really is sort of a universal principle that we can all benefit from. So yeah.
So Christian, tell us, what is the most exciting part of you having published your book?
I think it's just seeing people buying it, and people actually, you know, I've had so many nice comments from people reading it, just saying, oh wow, you know, I've never thought of thinking about things in this way before. And I think it's just about sharing your ideas that you've always used for yourself, and then being able to give them to other people. I think that's absolutely fantastic. And you know, I'm so glad I've done that, just for that reason, really, just being able to share principles and actually see people benefit from that.
Well,
So,
isn't
yeah.
that amazing now that your impact can be so much greater, because now your book is available to everyone throughout the world, which I think is incredible, and especially to the swimming industry and the aquatics industry, because it is about, I mean, we're dealing with children, we're dealing with people all the time, and it really does start with us. If people can see that we are in control of our own emotions, well, not only seeing it, but feeling it too. And that does translate to our swim school businesses and to the little ones that we teach. So I do think that your impact will be far reaching. And I really appreciate you coming on today and sharing it with us. And I really recommend it to all swim school owners and swimming teachers. Make sure you grab yourself a copy of Calibrate. It will change your life.
Thanks, Tori. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks again. I hope everyone enjoys it.